Convention of Biodiversity, and target 2 is areas under restoration, okay? And also to monitor the ecosystem restoration in the context of the UN Decade of Ecosystem Restoration. So as I mentioned, it will be me today, Carmen Morales, and then we'll have Temi Tope, Adelode, that is also part of the team, and I think also our team leader, Jelena Feingold, the forestry officer, joined, and she will be also introducing one project that we have started that is called Aim for Nature Restoration. So first of all, so welcome everyone again, and thank you everyone. We really appreciate your time for being here and spending some time with us. And I'm gonna pass the floor to Temi to start with the introduction. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Carmen. Thank you for the beautiful welcome notes. And again, good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining today's workshop on the framework for ecosystem restoration monitoring. And now moving to the agenda of today. So I think here we should probably get to know each other for about 10 minutes. And yeah, I think my colleague Carmen already introduced herself. And my name is Temitope Adelola, and I also work for the UN Decade on Ecosystem Restoration Monitoring, specifically the Task Force on Monitoring. And we'll be introducing the FERM to you today, and also how we can all work together to make sure we are able to capture the data area under restoration into the FERM. Okay. We assume we've all known each other. So thank you all for introducing yourself. And now going into the agenda of today. First, I'll try to introduce the objective of today. So first, my colleague Carmen already did like a brief introduction, which Yelena will speak more into it in our presentation. But for the objective, we're trying to understand more of the Aim for Nature Restoration initiative, and also to understand the introduction into FERM and its functionality in reporting on area under restoration for Target 2 and the UN Decade, and also to promote the documentation of restoration data and the good practice across both GCF and the GEF funding mechanisms, and also to encourage stakeholder participation in terms of making this data available and understanding the stakeholder to engage as well, and also to gather feedback for you for the improvement of the FERM functionality. So now I think I'll pass it over to Yelena to give us an insight into the Aim for Nature Restoration. Over to you, Yelena.
Thanks, Temi. So welcome everyone. To provide a very brief overview of our new and exciting project called Accelerating Innovation for Monitoring for Nature Restoration, or Aim for Nature. This is a UK-funded project. It's 4 years. It has just been launched in April, I believe. So it's very new, but we're really hitting the ground running. And this, it's not that this is new work. It's newly funded, but it's building on existing work that we've been doing at FAO in collaboration with the Convention on Biological Diversity, and building on FAO's leadership in the UN Decade on Ecosystem Restoration. And just to provide some context, FAO, our team is also leading the task force on monitoring, the monitoring work on the UN Decade on Ecosystem Restoration. And this new project, the objective of it is to accelerate innovative monitoring for nature restoration, and to work on developing a global restoration data set. This is because FAO and our team is the custodian for the restoration target of the Global Biodiversity Framework. And so as the custodian, CBD expects us to compile a default data set to support country reporting. So this is a project to facilitate that process. And we're looking at working, kind of with countries to assess what data is available in terms of nature restoration, and this project aims to address the country's monitoring capacity gaps and to enable effective restoration commitment implementation. You can go to the next slide. And just some of the highlights of this project. We'll be working closely with the governments of 4 countries that will be in Brazil, Peru, Kenya, and the Philippines. And then we plan to scale that work through CBD regional technical support centers. I believe in the region there's the IUCN ICRO office supporting this region, which, if I'm not mistaken, they'll get a grant from the CBD to then scale and provide further support to 2 countries on reporting and monitoring restoration. And we're planning some regional workshops. Those will be in Asia, Latin America, and Africa. At the moment, we don't have anything planned in Europe or Central Asia. But we do have a very important date in Armenia, which is CBD's COP17. So we're also country reporting will be in February 2026 before COP. And so, we're supporting countries to report by then, and then to have something very nice to showcase by the end of 2026 in Armenia. And I think that's all for the overview of nature, Aim for Nature. And yeah, and we'll be providing technical support such as this workshop and developing further guidance and tools for restoration monitoring. And we're really happy to receive your feedback so we can provide the best support possible together over the next 4 years. Back to you, Temi.
Thanks, Yelena. Thanks so much for providing the background and insight into Aim for Nature in accelerating innovative monitoring for nature restoration. And talking about that, this calls for, we've actually been working in terms of gathering default data set and making the platform available, the FERM framework for ecosystem restoration monitoring, to make sure like we are able to gather data on restoration and be able to showcase these. And we have been doing this in terms of reporting on area under restoration. So now I'm going to give more insight into the framework for ecosystem restoration monitoring. So FERM is actually the official framework for operational monitoring, global progress, and disseminating good practices. So we report on global progress of restoration for the UN decade, and also reports on area under restoration for the GBF target 2. And we also have the newest open forest integrated. We have FERM integrated into the open forest, which is now available. We will share the link towards the end of the presentation. So in developing the FERM to really capture area under restoration across projects, across funding mechanism, which GEF and GCF is part of it, we have developed this 4 functionality to make sure like we are able to document restoration data and also be able to visualize where restoration is actually taking place on the ground. So in the image on the right-hand side, we could see the 4 buttons there. The first one is the green one, which is the register. This is the entry point where we actually document the restoration data. And we actually capture the data across 3 phases, which recognize that restoration starts from the planning phase into the implementation phase and then the monitoring and reporting. So we have parameters across all of this section to make sure that we document restoration, and we also have polygons of where restoration is taking place. And then we have the visualize function. This is where we also partner with EarthMap, which I will show later on, to make sure like we are able to show where restoration is happening on the ground, to capture the polygons and also be able to run analysis in terms of indicators of restoration. And also we have the search engine. So most of the restoration that are documented through the registry, both the data and the good practice, are visualized, made available for the public in the search engine, and we will also show this later on. And the fourth one, please ignore the user guide. The fourth one, we have the dashboard, which is currently under development, and this is where we want to show global the aggregates of global restoration data from multiple platform or the funding mechanism like the GEF. So we want to be able to provide aggregate by sources on the area under restoration and be able to report this for the target 2 of the GBF. So currently we have FEM translated into multiple languages. So we have it in French, we have it in Spanish, and we have it in Portuguese. And also in reporting on area under restoration, we also have our partners. For example, we have the IUCN, where we integrated the IUCN global ecosystem typology to be able to capture restoration across different ecosystem type. So we already have this translated as well. And then we have summary of the target 2 resource guide, which has been launched, which we are hoping to provide the summary as well, and also providing training in multiple languages. So just to give an overview of the FERM registry, which I mentioned earlier, the green button highlighted in red. So in using the FERM, so we have the process in 3 different phases. The first one is a sign-up process, whereby users get to register into the platform using their emails, either institutional email or the Gmail. And also we have the documentation process, which happens through the registry. And then we have the third phase, which is the review and publication. So this is when it is being available in the yellow functionality, that the search. So users get to see the data that has been documented through the registry, and then it is made visible to the public and the search engine, both the initiative data and the good practices. My colleague Carmen will show this in practical later. So this is the FERM search engine, which is a collaboration between the Task Force on Monitoring and the Task Force on Best Practices, which are the 2 task forces led by FAO under the UN Decade on Ecosystem Restoration. So in the search engine, we have the initiative data and we have the good practices data. And there we actually show restoration data across ecosystem type, region, also by sources, which we currently have the GEF. If you go there now, you'll be able to see the data that has been documented and published, which are GEF projects. And at the moment, we have, I think, 20 plus GEF projects published currently. And we also want to be able to do this for GCF as well, which will be nice to actually see how much of restoration data is also coming from funding mechanism. And yeah, so we also have the FEM Initiative public page. So this is where we are able to see the restoration progress, the commitments, and what has been achieved in terms of the area under restoration. And also we are able to visualize the polygons to understand where the polygons are, where the restoration sites are. And for GEF, we can actually show this by showing the area under restoration and also area under improved practices in terms of the commitment and in terms of the progress. And also to be able to track the GEF indicators, because GEF has the core indicators, and we are also able to showcase the progress that has been achieved in terms of the GEF core indicators. And also in the initiative page, we can also monitor specific on the ground indicators. For example, in a restoration site, we want to understand the biodiversity richness. We want to understand areas that have been affected by fire to aid more planning of restoration sites and to strategize better. So we are able to monitor these indicators on the ground. And thanks to our work, our integration of EarthMap into the FEM registry, so which has layers across climate, fire, forest, hydrology, land cover, also restoration, and we have a diverse indicator and global data available. And users can actually analyze the indicator on the restoration site to understand the progress of restoration, the indicator progress relating to the restoration site. So we actually have all of this in the FEM registry. And currently, we are working on one of the open forest tool, which is ground, to enable users be able to identify, mark the area under restoration at the ground level. So we thought about what about, for example, remote area where restoration are actually taking place and without internet access. So even in indigenous territory, we want to be able to capture the restoration site and to make this easier at the ground level. So we are also working on the integration of ground to make sure like we're able to delineate polygons and to identify where the restoration sites at the ground level, and also to be able to capture some simple questions through a survey, such as the area under restoration, the specific activities, and also to take photos of the ground activities. So this will be integrated into the FERM registry through API, whereby the data collected at the ground level using the ground tools will be connected to the FERM registry. And then once users are available online, then they can continue to document the data in the FERM registry. So we are currently working on this as well. And in supporting collection of data in terms of the area under restoration, we have these resources pulled together. For example, we have the Target 2 resource guide, which have more information on restoration, type of restoration across policy, implementation, and monitoring, and is able to provide more knowledge to users. And also we have the FERM user guide on how to go into FERM from beginning to end. We have the standard of practice to guide ecosystem ecological restoration. We have the e-learning, which also complements the Target 2 resource guide. And we have tutorial videos on our YouTube. And we also have newsletter where users can actually subscribe to know the latest updates regarding FERM, and then we can keep you posted. And then we also provide on-demand trainings. And currently we just launched the freshwater restoration guidance, which also complements the Target 2 resource guide. And coming soon, we are also working on different ecosystem guidance. For example, we just set up the working group on marine and coastal, and we hope to have guidance relating to this later. So we are really working on providing resources, not just collecting data, but making sure the resources to guide this data are actually available. So this is our YouTube channel, whereby we have a step-by-step guide tutorial video on how to use FERM, which is available as well. And now moving into the GEF and GCF project. So for the GCF, I will talk about it, and the GEF, I will pass it over to Carmen. So we are starting to onboard our GCF project to make sure like we actually capture area under restoration across specific results area which are relevant to restoration. For example, the sustainable forest and land use ecosystem and ecosystem services, and the indicators as well. So we are beginning to onboard GCF project, and we really want to work with the GCF stakeholders to identify where GCF restoration data are, where this restoration are actually happening on the ground, and to make sure like we actually have this data documented into FERM. For example, like Yelena mentioned, next year the CBD COP will take place in Armenia, and we want to be able to capture both GEF and GCF data into the database to have something to showcase for the CBD COP. So I think next we pass it over to my colleague Carmen to talk more on the GEF. Over to you, Carmen.
Yes, thank you, Temi. Thank you very much for your great presentation. So what I wanted to mention about the GEF is what we have achieved so far. So basically, since the end of 2023, we started delivering trainings, and one of the first one was in December 2023 for the Rio region, the Central East Europe region. And we have trained already, but we started with the GEF staff, basically. So as for now, we have trained over 300 GEF FAO staff. And it's true that we're slow with the publishing of the projects in FERM, because as for now, we have 20 projects published, but it's also true that we have been working with the GEF 6 and the GEF 7 portfolio. And for example, the GEF 7 portfolio, many projects are starting implementation now or finishing implementation now, and they are still going to the field, compiling the restoration areas, So slowly, we're the GEF projects at the global level are more and more interested in using FERM, and they are more and more writing us to support them in order to upload the information in the platform and then to publish it. So yes, here we have in total delivered 6 trainings with this one, and there will be another one in Latin America this summer because they requested it as well. And then something else that is important to mention is that we have engaged with impact programs, so that at the impact program level we can sum the areas under restoration and under SLM, and then showcase it in a nice way in FERM. So with the GEF-6 restoration initiative, we're following up with all the projects, and some of them have been published already. Then with the GEF-8 ecosystem restoration impact program that is led by CI, we have a formal collaboration, and we will be tracking all the projects with FERM. And we're collaborating also with Conservation International for making a link between TransEarth. I don't know if you are aware of this plugin for QGIS, TransEarth, that serves for land degradation neutrality assessments. So the idea is to link FERM and TransEarth in order to be able to, and make them interoperable, in order to be able to transfer information from one to the other, and that they speak the same language. So this is something that we will start this year, and I think it's very exciting opportunity. And then also UNDP has contacted us for the GEF-8 Blue and Grey Islands impact program to continue to also maybe establish collaboration and use FERM for tracking the restoration components of the project. So this is what I can mention about the engagement with the GEF portfolio. I think Camila has a question, refers to today's workshop, represented rare and not only sex subregion. Okay, Camila, thank you very much for this comment. So the training that we have today is for REU, that englobes Central Asia and East Europe. Okay, thanks for the clarification. Very good, thank you very much. So I think we can now pass, we also want to listen to you, to the participants. So now we can have an interactive discussions. We can open the floor if you have some questions, some comments, or otherwise we will really like to listen to your perspective of how monitoring ecosystem restoration works in the region. We want to know if GEF and GCF projects are doing the work on the ground, are delineating the areas, are going to the field and compiling some information on project-specific indicators that are related to the biodiversity outcomes, such as biodiversity, connectivity, ecosystem services and functions, and ecological integrity. So we would like to know what are the challenges and what are the experiences in the region. So we open the floor, and if you have some comments, we're here to listen. Yes, Camila, if you have some comments.
Yes, thank you very much, colleagues, for delivering a very interesting presentation. I would not be able to share any experiences from the ground and from the field, but I would like to ask some questions about monitoring for reporting in FERM context, because I provide backstopping support a lot to the colleagues during the peer, during the MTR phase, and we always focus basically on monitoring the result framework and core indicators, because that's the requirement of the GEF Secretariat. Also, there are the official requirements for the production of the knowledge management products. And following this presentation, I just would like to understand a bit better how can all this data be utilized for reporting? Because so far we pay a lot of attention within our region on really making sure that we collect actual data, for example, for core indicators, which you mentioned. But it seems that the FERM database requires additional data outside of the ProDoc, outside of the result framework. And to be honest, from my perspective, we would not collect extra data unless it is not a part of the result framework or core indicators, which basically these are the requirements of the GEF Secretariat, and these are the conditions under which the funding was extended. So I just would like to understand a bit better whether all of this, apart from the core indicators, would be additional reporting requirements required by FAO, or somehow we can use all of this data for reporting to the donor. Thank you so much.
What I think, so maybe I can share my perspective, and then Yelena, tell me if you have something to add. Super happy. So what I think is that this is a platform that is very useful for knowledge transfer, for showing your restoration initiatives in a nice manner, and also with a geospatial component. And the good practices as well. No, people are, or some projects are sharing their good practices in order to showcase what is working in the projects and what is not, and how you can, when in the design phase, you can learn from past experiences and have a look at the good practices registry. In terms of requirement for the donor and requirement for FAO, it is not mandatory to, apart from the indicators that you have in the results framework and the GEF core indicators, there is not a mandatory request from the donor, neither from FAO, to go to the field and compile some extra information. But I think FAO and the donor will appreciate a lot this extra work, or I don't know this extra work, but because some projects I've seen in the Rio region already that have done this work, for example, the project in Georgia, that I don't know if the colleagues are here. No, I don't think so. But they did a very precise LDN, land degradation neutrality assessment of the different restoration sites, and they went to the field and also the pasture lands. They have specific indicators for the pasture lands. And they can, with the different indicators, they can demonstrate that the ecosystem restoration has been very successful because of some NDVI indicators, etc. And also, by entering the data in FERM, basically you can take advantage of the geospatial technologies that we have integrated, such as EarthMap, and then you can showcase in your areas with some parameters that you can get from geospatial information and not necessarily from the field, if you don't do the ground truth, to showcase how the vegetation in your restoration area is changing. So this is something that I think it's nice to use, but it's gonna be it's not gonna be a requirement from the donor. That's for sure. I don't know if you answered your question, Camila.
Maybe if it could.
Yes, thank you very much.
Yeah, and if I can just come in to build on Carmen's answer, I think, well, the overall objective of the FERM is to support reporting on restoration and to have comprehensive data on restoration. And the minimum data required is to have the area under restoration, which is one of the GEF core indicators. So let's say the minimum information is not does not require any additional data collection to in addition to the GEF core indicators. So just with that, we already have good information that then we can showcase how these various projects, and oftentimes large-scale projects, are contributing to ecosystem restoration and can be aggregated in different ways at the country scale, regionally, and globally to say something about restoration progress. Thanks for your question, Camila.
No, thank you very much, colleagues. And if I may share that at the moment we are trying to pilot some knowledge management products linked with M&E, which we would like to develop at the end of the project. So I see maybe and in this knowledge management products, we are trying to record lessons learned. And I feel like there is some maybe potential to continue this discussion in the context of knowledge management, which we are trying to do for the GEF funded projects in our region. So I would be happy to organize additional meetings with the LTO who is trying to launch that type of products. Thank you so much.
Yes, Camila, and in the demo, thank you so much also for your comment. And in the demo that we will do now, we will have the demo of the registration of the initiative and also the good practices. So you will have a look at it. You will have a better overview of how this looks like, and then we can explore this collaboration of knowledge management and the use of FERM for it. Okay, do we still have more time for? If there's someone else that wants to make a question, I think we could still let the floor open. Otherwise, we can move forward with the demo and let the questions for the end. Is there anyone else that has some questions or information to share, comment, questions? Okay. Let's then move forward with the FERM demo. I'll try to be short, okay, so that we have more time for the discussion, and we don't spend so much time with the presentation. I should have around 10-15 minutes for this demo. So I went directly. Now I shared my screen. I hope everyone can see it. No, you can see my screen, no?
Yes,
okay.
you can see your screen.
Excellent. So this is FERM.fao.org, the website for accessing FERM, this framework that we have developed. I think Temi already mentioned in her presentation that we have several sections. One of the sections is the registry, where you can register your restoration initiatives and good practices. First, you register your initiative, and then linked to the initiative, you register the good practice. The Visualize will be the geospatial platform that Temi mentioned before. So for the moment, there is an old geospatial platform, but very soon, I hope in a couple of weeks, we will have EarthMap. And if we have we will have EarthMap that maybe some of you know. It's a customized version of EarthMap for FERM. So we will be focusing on restoration, and we will be adding specific data sets for restoration in this FERM EarthMap version. So you have the registry and the search engine. Now I want to showcase one of the projects that has been published already in the search engine so that you can have a look at the data set yourself and get familiar with the tool. So basically, here on the upper right part, you will have two tabs, the one on initiatives and the one on good practices, okay? So the one on initiatives has all the initiatives that have been currently published. So we have, for the moment, 437 initiatives, and you can filter by ecosystems, as you can see here, by region or by source. So now I'm gonna, and here you have other different filters. You can filter by country, by restoration status, restoration type. So let me first filter by GEF to see how many GEF projects we have here. So we have 20 published for the moment. When you click in one of them, you will view the full initiative, and then we have this visualization page of the project, where on the left side we have the title, the GEF logo, the country, and some nice picture that showcases some of the project activities or yes, some of the project landscapes, let's say, or ecosystems that we're restoring. And then we have one way to monitor the commitments versus the achievements versus the commitments of some of the GEF core indicators that are RS under restoration in this case, and RS under sustainable land management practices. And here we have all the information on what we have inserted in the search engine. So the description, the biomes or the ecosystems, the activities, etc., etc. When we zoom in one of the areas, let's go here, for example, in this area. This is one of the restoration sites of this project. And here on the lower part, we can see some of the indicators. So we can zoom on the area, and we can see some of the indicators that have been compiled within the registry. So for example, here, they have increased the average grazing period on control grazing from 5 months to 5.5 months. So this is one of the indicators that can showcase some practices that can, at the end, here, for example, we have an increased farmer capacity and sustainable pasture management practices. So you have the indicator and the metric, and you can compile this information and showcase what are the values for this specific area. So this is very specific and very detailed information on these areas, but you can also disaggregate by bigger areas. So it depending on how you have your information in terms of the project, how your project is compiling and monitoring the information. So this is the first thing that I wanted to show you, how you publish and can visualize the project once you have published it. And now let's go back to the FERM website, okay? And I wanted to go very briefly to the registry. So we have, for example, here in the registry, okay, you can create a new initiative. Okay, sorry, this is in Spanish now because I have a Spanish Google. Okay, so I change it to English. And here you can create a new initiative or create or join an institution. All the GEF projects are on the GEF institution. And here you have a list of all the GEF projects. And maybe I will showcase one of the GEF projects that we've been already starting implementing the information. So I think this one is a GEF 6 in Serbia that with Peja we started to compile some information on forest management units. Here in the Actions tab, you can edit the information. You can also add collaborators, okay? All the collaborators can edit the project, and they need to be in the GEF institution in order to be added as collaborators. And then you can edit the information. You can also submit for review once you finish with all the data insertion. And then the submission process basically is I will be responsible for reviewing all the information, check if the GEF core indicators are correct, if the achievement is correct based on the information that you submit in the PRRs. And then once I see that the information is correct, the information gets published and can be found in the search engine. So also my colleague Temi mentioned before that the registry has 3 main parts, okay? So we have the planning and assessment, the implementation, and the monitoring and reporting. In the planning and assessment, you upload general information. You can also upload the areas, the geographic information of the areas, and calculate the ecosystems that are within these areas. And then you can make some statistics. You can calculate some statistics on NDVI, the vegetation indices, or temperature, precipitation, or some land use change in these areas with the characteristics tabs, that is EarthMap. And then you can go to activities, indicators and monitoring, and here is the public page preview where you will see how basically what will be published in the search engine. Do you have any questions already, or shall I continue with the demo? Okay. So here is the editing. So we're in the general part, okay? In the general part, basically you put the title. So there's some here specific parameters for GEF, such as the GEF project symbol, the investment type, the cycle, the focal areas, and then you can upload, you have the possibility to upload some initiative projects, and then you can choose one of these pictures to be, so that this picture is the main image then in the public page preview. Here you can find some target 2 parameters that are more related to the restoration component, the objectives of the project in terms of biodiversity, the contribution to SDG goals. Then you can put the points of contacts, the keywords, and the organizations. And then once you have this information, you save and next, and you go to areas and ecosystems. Okay, so here in the first part, you indicate your commitments. For example, this project in Serbia only has commitments on landscape and improved practices, okay, the core indicator 4. And this is the number of committed hectares, okay? If you will have also committed hectares under core indicator 3, you will add the hectares here, and then you can save the information. On the other hand, Petya has done this geospatial work, and we have here some forest management units where sustainable forest management practices are being implemented, or a plan. I don't know, correct me if I'm wrong, Petya, but in this forest management unit, there is a special management that is being taking place under this project. Here we have the possibility also to calculate or get the ecosystem type based on IUCN global ecosystem typology biomes, because target 2 requires to report towards IUCN global ecosystem typology or the national ecosystems. So if you have a national ecosystem, you can also, ecosystem typology, you can also report it towards this. But here in FERM, we'll have this functionality that is very, very useful. So we have uploaded several areas. The tool calculates the hectares, okay? And then when you go to the characteristics tab, you can, all the characteristics tabs basically is Earth Map. I don't know how many in this room have ever seen Earth Map, but Earth Map is a very nice product of FAO, and basically it's very user-friendly, easy to use. You will have here on the left side the country, and then, okay, let me put it in English. And the forest management units that have been uploaded, okay, they're all here. And then you can showcase, for example, if you would like to know if there is some protected areas management close by, you can activate these different layers. So here, for example, we know that this project management, this forest management units are within a protected area, okay? And you can activate some other layers, such as, for example, forestry, for example, global forest above ground biomass, if you're interested in doing some assessments on biomass. And then if you click in the polygon on the right side, you can do some analysis, for example, on the biomass, if you're interested in this indicator. So you can, so if the polygon is not too big, the tool will calculate you the changes in the biomass in the last 10, 11 years. And then you can potentially, if you want, use this parameter in the indicators tab that I will showcase later. I don't know if it's gonna be too big, the area, but if you do it in a smaller, it should work, okay? But we're not gonna wait now so long, because I don't wanna take so much time in the demo, but it should work, and then you can see the different values of biomass above ground for this area. We're also happy to support the project teams in this kind of exercise in bilateral meetings, okay? So I will close this characteristics tab. There is here at the beginning a description on how to use it. And then we can move forward with the implementation, okay? The activities. So here for each of the areas, for each of the forest management units, you have different activities that are biophysical and enabling that you can specify for this specific forest management unit. Okay, so you specify the activities that are being undertaken under each area. You can save and next and go to the indicators part. In the indicators part, for each of the areas or forest management units, you can specify first the GEF indicator under which the area is. So for example, this this forest management unit falls under core indicator 4.3, okay? Areas of landscape under sustainable land management in production system. You save it, and then you can add also some project-specific indicators. So for example, imagine that with EarthMap, you have calculated the above ground biomass. So you want to save this indicator for this specific area. So here you will write down above ground biomass. The metric will be the biomass in, let's say, kilograms, okay? And then this is only an example, okay? And then you add this custom indicator. And it is added here. Above ground biomass in kilograms. When you go to the monitoring part, okay, that is the next section, you can include values. For example, in EarthMap, you saw that in 2023, when the project started, you had 400 kilograms of biomass, or 4,000. And in 2026 or 5, you will have less because you have done a forest management that is cutting some biomass. Let's say this is to prevent fires. It could be an example. So you can save this information, and when you go to the public page preview, you will see how much the project in terms of land under approved practices has committed, how much it has achieved based on all the forest management units. And if I find the forest management unit where I save the polygon, wait, it should be one of these. Okay, imagine I save the information about the indicators in this forest management unit. Then here at the end, in the indicators part, you will see the indicators that I just saved. Okay, and then once you finish to review all this information in the public page preview, you like the information that you would like to showcase, you close it, and you save and exit. First of all, you always need to save, okay, so that the information gets saved in the platform. And then once you finish, you submit for review, and someone, basically me, will review this information, and then we can publish the project. This will be the demo for the registration. I think I didn't took too much time for it. So I'm gonna stop sharing my screen now. And I don't know if do we have time for questions now, Demi, or?
We have a question from Ifet, so maybe you can respond to that in the chat, or if she wants to say, go for it.
Okay, yes, Burak, I think you had your first question. You can just.
No, I can answer, but I have like further question to that. So for the projects under preparation or beginning of the projects, we don't have specific pilot sites, but we have some commitments, like, restore like 100 hectare area, but without specifying any pilot site. So should we really wait until the site is selected, or just include this information in the FERM system as a commitment by specifying only the region or, like, specific city of the country? How to do it? Or should we really wait until this specific pilot site selected?
Yes, there is something that thank you very much for your question, Burak. There's something that I'm that I forgot to specify at the beginning. Basically, with the GEF unit, we wanted to upload all the GEF portfolio, GEF 6 and GEF 7 portfolio and FERM, so that we have all the projects uploaded with the general information. So the the commitment of the GEF indicators should be there already. And then we follow up with the projects on the implementation. So Burak, if you are working on a specific project, it would be great if you follow up with me after this training, and then we'll have a look at the commitments to see if everything is correct. I can add you as a collaborator in this project, and then you can start, and then maybe we can have a bilateral meeting. And if you didn't map the areas yet, we can come to an agreement to maybe add a landscape in which you know that, for example, within this landscape, you will restore or have areas under sustainable land management, and then we can, if you want, already publish the project before it hasn't finished. That's not a problem, because you can publish the project with some information after the second year, and then you can, when you will have the information, you go to the field, you compile the information, and then you go back, you revisit the information, and you update it, and you publish again.
Thank you. I'm now technically coordinating the project in Uzbekistan, GEF 6 projects. So it already did some restoration and forest management activities. I think we can include that one. But my second project, the regional project, links to Ifet's question actually. It's funded by FEO Turkey Partnership Program. So can we also include that one into the FERM
of course
website?
We can follow up, Burak, after this training. I'm happy to. We're also happy to support in bilateral meetings.
Great, thank you so much.
Okay, let's see if there were some other questions. Is there someone else that would like to take the floor and make some questions? Yes, Ifet, please.
Thank you very much. First of all, thanks for the workshop, and I believe we had a chance to discuss these questions earlier, but I will be happy if any changes there. As Burak mentioned, we are implementing regional projects funded by FAO Turkey Forestry Partnership Program. So maybe we can contribute to FERM with these projects also, apart from the GEF and GCF projects. My other question is, I am implementing the project in the region, SEC region, that focuses on forest management planning and protected area management planning. So can we also contribute to FERM through activities to develop forest and protected area management plans, apart from directly restoration activities?
I mean, for the GEF projects, if you have some projects that are covering GEF indicator 1 and 2, that are protected areas, terrestrial protected areas and marine protected areas, you can include them because we are also using FERM for monitoring all the GEF core indicators. But if they are outside GEF, I don't think it makes sense to include protected areas projects, because we need the restoration component. Or if there is a restoration component in the project, of course.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay.
Sorry, Carmen. So it will be the protected area management planning will aim, like, improve management in the, forested landscape protected areas. So I think it would be good to also include that one to just demonstrate. It's not GEF funded. It's again, outside of GEF, but I think it would be good to just demonstrate it in the FERM website.
We can upload it in the FERM website and then specify that it's sustainable land management plan, or that it's a protected areas management. I don't think it's a problem. We can do it.
Great, thank you.
I think Erdogan Otseveren from Turkey has another question.
Yes, it's not a question, it's a little bit request from you. Is there any possibilities to organize another online meeting, not like this detailed workshop with EFO Turkey Office GEF portfolio teams? Because I have many projects and some of the projects related on your topics, and the project coordinator wasn't here, wasn't joined this meeting. Just Erdoğan Arturk is the Kazdağları project coordinator. Maybe we can organize a short meetings next days, because each of the project has some component related GEF projects related on your works, your projects. Maybe it can be very useful, because I don't have all the details, but the project coordinators should have some details, and maybe we can receive their support, their contribution for your project, if it's possible.
I think what we can do, because this training will be recorded, and then we will upload it probably in YouTube, or we can share with you the recording, and then Erdogan, you can share the training with your colleagues.
Okay.
And then when they have all the basic information about FERM, they understand how to use it, we can have the meeting, of course.
Okay.
That's not a problem. You can write me an email, and we can follow up.
Okay, thank you very much, Carmen.
I think Camila had another question. The additional specific indicators which can be entered into FERM are part of the results framework and not beyond RF. I don't understand, Camila, the last thing. I mean, you can add beyond the result framework. What I think is that you can add the indicators of the results framework, and you can add indicators beyond the result framework if you want, but it's not mandatory. So if you have additional indicators that you would like to monitor, such as, for example, in a forest management unit, it makes sense, maybe, depending on the objective of the project, but it could make sense to calculate the above ground biomass with EarthMap, because it can be an indicator for better forest management, let's say. So you can include it if you want, but it's not mandatory. It's like also, I think, for making the project managers and the project teams think how you can demonstrate with some indicators and then showcase to Jeff saying, okay, we have compiled the results framework indicators, but apart from this, we have additional indicators that they can be measured with Earth observation. And we included them here so that you can also see that there is less above ground biomass. And this is an indicator for a better management, for example.
From the RBM perspective, you would monitor only these indicators for which you set the target in the beginning of the project. You don't just collect actual data if there were no target set in the beginning, and for these indicators outside of the core indicators and outside of the result framework, we wouldn't usually have the targets. So in general, we do not recommend monitoring the indicators which were not part of the initial matrix indicating the results and for which we don't have the targets, but we can continue this methodological discussion maybe later on.
Okay. Or maybe to add some, because sometimes you have the result framework with some indicators that they are normally monitored with the PORs, but then you have one specific, apart from it, you have for Georgia, for example, they have restoration plans. And in these restoration plans, they have compiled a lot of indicators that are outside the result framework. And these indicators, there is a scientific study behind, and they went to the field and compiled a lot of information. And this information, if we don't put it in a platform, it will get lost. And for me, it's a pity, because it can be used for research, it can be used for lessons learned. So I think it's very good to deep dive into the GEF project, see the knowledge products, and share some of the information that is useful for this specific topic, ecosystem restoration, and include it in FERM. But this is a discussion that, of course, we want to, of course, work very closely with you, Camila, because you are responsible for the monitoring, and it's important to coordinate, of course.
So what I would suggest is maybe we actually have a meeting with the lead technical officers in our region. And actually, because for them, maybe it's important to include some of these indicators in the result framework. Because for us, usually we try to address all the possible issues during the design phase, if possible. So the moment the indicator is a part of the result framework, we start monitoring it. And we set targets for it. So for us, it would be the easiest entry point into ensuring that we collect all the data for firm systems. So I would really suggest that we look at this knowledge management aspect and project design phase. Thank you.
That's a very good proposition. I think it makes a lot of sense. Okay. Is there any other urgent questions, or shall we move forward with with the other demo of the good practices? Okay, I think we answered all the questions. Jamie, I give you the floor.
Thanks, Carmen. I mean, I'm excited because it's quite interactive than I thought. So I think Carmen already showed this visualize the dashboard page, and here we have the register. So the FERM does not just capture the restoration data, but also the good practices. And this is because we report for Target 2 and the UN Decade on Ecosystem Restoration Monitoring. And one of the mandates of the UN Decade is to also share successful restoration projects globally. So it's to promote the knowledge management, the good practice. And these are restoration activities that has been tested on the ground in more than one locations and that have been approved to be called good practices. So the essence of this is to promote this idea among restoration practitioners. So if there is a successful restoration activities in a region, and this can be adapted to another region. So we want to make it available in FERM, and also to give the public page to this restoration initiative to visualize what they are doing and make it available for all. So the same entry point is the registry function, which my colleague Carmen actually showed earlier. So where we have the restoration initiative registered at the title, so we have this button here, which is the good practices. So users can actually click on it to add the good practices. So the good practices has this form, which actually collects information across the objective. So we have the languages here in English, Espanol, in France, and in Portuguese available. So the users can document the title of the restoration practice, and also select the objective and also the area where the restoration is actually taking place, the ecosystem, and also context the activities. And here we also have the degradation drivers, which is to understand the background problem of what is actually happening on the restoration side, the problem behind it, and why we are providing solutions. So, and other additional information, and also the methodology. So we have good practice across agroforestry, agroecology, sustainable forest land management. So different approaches. It could even be enabling activities, financial mechanisms, the mechanisms that are put together to make sure like we achieve successful restoration activities on the ground. So we want to understand the methodology, the steps, the engagement, who are those that are involved, the type of knowledge, the participatory approaches on the scale, and how where it has been tested, the location where it has been tested beyond the original location. So we want to understand all of this information. And also in terms of the challenges, the lessons learned, we also want to understand this. And this will enable whoever wants to adapt this particular good practice to also understand the type of challenges that the original location actually faced, and how they can actually prepare and re-strategize for the intended location as well. And also the benefits and validation. We want to understand the positive impact of these good practices with the negative impact as well, which is very important, and also the validation. And there's also a field to actually input link like Facebook, YouTube, the additional information. So once all of these good practices are documented through the registry, this actually goes through reviewers. So the good practices team actually have reviewers who review this practice to actually make sure that it is actually a good practices and also follow the standard of good practices based on the resources that are available. So once it is reviewed and accepted, then it is published and made available in the search engine, which my colleague Carmen showed earlier in this search engine. So in the search engine, we not only have the initiative tab, we also have the good practices, which can be visualized. And the beauty of it is that we have good practices from other sources as well beyond FERM. So we also do like interoperability data exchange with other platforms, GoPro4, Panorama, WOCAT. In case you have a platform for collecting good practices, we can also facilitate the data exchange to make it available in FERM. And in the FERM source, we also have good practices across the FERM database, the GEF, and we are open to also have a project across GCF as well. So we have this good practices here, and this can be filtered across the degradation drivers to understand the kind of drivers and then the solutions, and to be able to filter this and also to filter by ecosystem types based on the UNDEC classification of ecosystem, which is here, and the region where it is taking place as well, all the countries, to filter by countries itself. So this is all about the good practices. So beyond the restoration drivers, we also welcome good practice, documentation of the good practices to actually show successful activities that actually happen on the ground to aid the implementation of restoration or successful restoration across the globe. So I think this is from me, and yeah, to save our time, and I don't know if we have question regarding the good practices. So yeah, I think we have a few minutes for that. If not, if we don't have good question, probably we go into next step, but maybe in 5 minutes we can have like a question if there's any question. So if not, I think I will hand it over to Carmen back.
Okay, if there are no specific questions on this best practices registry that you can then publish and FERM, I think we can close it here. No, next steps. I think Demi, you wanted to say something about the survey. I didn't test it. Demi, is it working?
I think it should be working. Yeah. Please, colleague. Yeah, for every workshop, we would like to keep improving the functionalities of FERM, and this can only be possible when we get the feedback from our participants. And we would really appreciate you to take like 5 minutes of your time and help us to fill this survey. And this will help us to strategize better and know how best to also improve the functionality in terms of delivering the intended services. Yeah.
Exactly. Maybe something that we didn't because here in the colleagues that took the floor and were speaking more were the GEF colleagues. So I would like to have some perspective. It will be very useful to have some perspective of the colleagues that are working in GCF projects. Maybe the colleague, because Armenia will be a country that will be strategically important because Armenia's COP is going to be like the CBD COP 16, no?
Yes.
It's gonna be in Armenia next year. And we know that there is a GCF project in Armenia. But in general, I would like to know what the opinion of the GCF, the staff here or the participants here that work with GCF projects, if you think there is a need or there will be interest for the GCF project teams to upload the restoration data and FERM, such as the same as GEF are doing it. So is there someone here in the room that is working with GCF projects and would like to say something?
Yeah.
I think Eric. Okay.
Thank you. I'm working from Armenia with the GCF project here, and my question is really, since you said we're really focused on GEF projects, but are we able to upload GCF project data and restoration in FERM right now, or are we waiting for some updates, or are we just, where are we on that?
For Armenia, we never started, no? What, Temi?
Yeah, Camille, maybe I can go for it. So thanks, Eric.
Yes.
We already have some country projects in the FERM database, the registry. So you can see it in the search engine until it is published. For example, we have Cote d'Ivoire, we have Chile, and we have other countries where we're working with them already. So, but we are still validating the data, and after which it will be published online. So specifically for Armenia is because the CBD Global Biodiversity Framework COP17 will take place. Armenia is the host for next year. And in terms of reporting on one of the GBF targets, the target 2, which is area under restoration. So we felt it would be nice to hopefully have a national workshop in Armenia and understand the stakeholders who has the data and see the possible either GCF, GEF, the data we can actually document into the FERM. And with the FERM, which is actually for official platform for reporting on the GBF target 2, then we can show the restoration data for Armenia, like this is what Armenia have. And I think it will also be interesting for the country to have a data to showcase. So I don't know if I answer your question.
So the Armenia project, is it still under, is there already under implementation? Did you went to the field, some restoration actions already going on, or is it still in a older phase?
No, we're a little bit behind, but we're starting to, yes, last year we started to plant and restore areas and also started to with copies management. So we are in implementation phase, but we're a bit behind. So we're working to speed up everything. But yeah, it would be nice to report this data, as you said, into the FERM databases. But I think, as you mentioned, somewhat of a stakeholder national meeting or implementation, I think that would be very interesting for us to have a separate meeting and understanding of all this.
Yeah, maybe we can have a follow-up meeting later with Norbert and others as well. Yeah, okay.
Okay, very good. If there's other GCF perspectives that would like to be shared, we will be happy to hear it. Otherwise, there's also the feedback survey that please answer it so that we can always make better trainings and also improve the tool so that or the framework, let's say, that has different tools so that they can really be useful for the projects. And otherwise, I think we can leave it here. Thank you very much, everyone, really for your participation, for taking your time. We know that you're very busy with all the projects that are going on and everything, but we really appreciate that you joined this online workshop. And as mentioned, we're happy to follow up with specific projects in bilateral meetings, and also with Camila, we will be also very happy to follow up. Also with Temi, I think it will be good if you, the three of us, we can have a meeting, and then we can strategize on this indicators thing, and continue with collaboration. Okay. Thank you very much, and have a fantastic rest of the day.
Thank you guys for joining.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.